One Piece is one of the best series I've ever read. I love it. But I struggled to get into it. I thought it'd be fun to talk about that. Since One Piece is older than me, I can't really point to a specific moment where I first learned about it. I've always at least vaguely known about it, but there are a few things I can point to that made me actually give it a chance. Firstly, I remember watching a video Noble made where he hyped up the One Piece anime. That video wasn't enough to get me to watch it, but it did get me thinking about it. I believe I only properly decided to give it a chance after I listened to a few episodes of the One Piece Virgin podcast. Although the reason I listened to it was because some of the people in the podcast are friends with Noble, so technically it was because of him. It's like poetry. I then decided that I tried to join the Virgin Animec on his journey, but instead of reading it, I decided to watch the anime, just because I heard Noble and some other people say that it was good, and at least at the time I think I preferred anime over manga, so I began watching in early 2020, and I mostly liked it. Some parts felt a bit slow to me, but it had some hype moments too, so I kept watching all the way through the Drum Island arc. But then I ended up learning that a lot of what I watched wasn't canon. I think I already knew that some things were different between the anime and the manga, but the main thing that frustrated me was learning that the Warship Island arc that I had sat through 8 episodes of was completely non-canon. I got incredibly demoralized from this realization. Previously I tolerated some boring stuff because I thought it'd be important later on, but no, I was just wasting my time for no reason. I'm really weird when it comes to wasting time because I happily spend 5 hours mining in Minecraft, but when I played the half an hour of Animal Crossing New Horizons, I felt like my lifespan was being reduced every time I had to sit through an animation. And One Piece is the Animal Crossing New Horizons of anime. So I just thought to myself, man, Noble lied to me, this isn't good. And I stopped watching the anime. Now I didn't plan on permanently stopping One Piece, I was just like, yeah, in the future one of these years I'll give the manga a chance. And I went back to playing Minecraft or whatever I was doing and moved on. Although weirdly I think around the time I stopped watching the anime, I began to get really into Rustage's One Piece D&D series. And the reason I watched it was because Noble was a player. It rhymes. I also occasionally watched some teching videos, mainly videos where he talked about devil fruits, just because I find that power system to be really cool. I was absolutely exposing myself to spoilers, but I didn't care too much at this point. I was mainly watching One Piece D&D for the D&D and teching for the vibes. And I kept watching Rustage's One Piece D&D series somewhat consistently for almost a year, I believe. However, around March 2021 I started to lose interest and stopped watching it. And by extension, stopped watching pretty much anything One Piece related, outside of maybe the occasional vibe video that got recommended. That was until around August. I don't know why, but I suddenly decided that the future is now. It's time to pirate, and I gave the One Piece manga a chance. I considered starting the manga from right where I left off in the anime, but I ended up deciding to start from the beginning so I get the full experience. And in retrospect, I'm glad I did that, but at the time I wasn't as motivated to read stuff that I had seen before, so it was a bit of a slow start. But after getting past that, I was more motivated to read, and I got to see some more hype moments. It wasn't one of my favorite series yet, but it was solid enough. But then I got to Water 7 and Enies Lobby, and that's when I realized that this is something really special. I cried while reading it. It was phenomenal. Then I got to Thriller Bark and I was like, man, I'm gonna cry for a different reason. It went from peak fiction to Thriller Bark. Really? Of course after an arc concludes you're gonna lose some momentum for a bit. But this time I really felt it. So I stopped reading for a whole month. Honestly, I was dangerously close to just quitting entirely. But after reluctantly returning I realized, alright, this is peak fiction too. One Piece is just a good series. It wasn't all smooth sailing from there. I definitely took some breaks and slowed down at certain parts. But I kept going. I got back into Rustage's One Piece D&D series and watched some more of that Virgin 2 while I was at it. And eventually I finally got caught up with the manga around chapter 1056. And only then did I become a fan of One Piece. I know that's silly to say, like, after reading 1000 chapters I wasn't a fan. Only after 1056 did I start to get into the series. But really, before I got caught up I didn't appreciate One Piece as much, since I was in a mindset of trying to get caught up. I absolutely enjoyed what I was reading. Like Water 7, masterpiece. Enies Lobby, masterpiece. Perona, masterpiece. Impel Down, masterpiece. Marineford, masterpiece, and so on. However, I've heard people talk about how hyped the time skip is, or how Sanji gets a crazy backstory reveal later, or how Perona returns, or how Wano is getting insane, or whatever else. I was always hearing about how crazy the future chapters are, which made me want to get to the next big thing, and I think that hurt my enjoyment since a lot of the time I didn't care as much about the chapters I was reading. Although without hearing about some of that, I don't think I would have been as motivated to read, so it's kinda a mixed bag. But now that I'm caught up, it's chill because I'm invested in the story and I can't rush through it since I have to read it one chapter at a time. Egghead Island is the first arc I've gotten to experience alongside everyone else, and it's been really fun reading the chapter and then hearing what other people have to say about it. I've kept watching Tekking, but I've also started watching Sai and a bunch of other people. If I get recommended a One Piece video, I'm probably gonna watch it. My standards are low. I highly recommend watching the Parcast, by the way. Two bros having a conversation together is my favorite genre of podcast, and the Parcast is great. I single-handedly just increased the Parcast view count by 1 view with that shoutout. You're welcome, Cyan Par. But yeah, now you're caught up to the present. I absolutely loved reading Egghead, and I've become a big fan of One Piece in general too. And it all started with Noble. I don't like sand. That was the proper end of the video, but I have some additional information and a channel update you can stick around for if you want. So I couldn't remember when I started watching or reading One Piece, so I had to piece a lot of it together by checking old messages and seeing when I saved screenshots of different panels. And here's a rough timeline I constructed if you're interested in that. Also, I want to mention that I know for the anime I could have just looked up which episodes are filler and then skipped those, or I could have looked into One Piece, but even if I did that, I don't think I would have enjoyed the anime as much as the manga. I also know that recently the anime has had some incredible animation, but if there's an especially hyped scene I can just watch a clip of it, like I don't really want to sit down and watch a whole episode. I am excited for the One Piece though, I think that'll be good. By the way, literally just now I found out that the One Piece version is back with the all new version. I'll have to check that out. Now, quick channel update. Firstly, I want to say thank you. My last 2 videos have gotten a lot of support, which I really appreciate. I know in total I only got like 8 comments from strangers, but by my standards this is crazy because in the past pretty much only people I knew commented on my videos, so seeing comments from random people is very encouraging. I was especially excited when I saw that the Dungeon Coach commented on my DC20 video. I never expected him to see my video, and I especially didn't expect him to comment. I was shocked and it made my day. Thank you. Now, here's what you can expect from future videos. I have a ton of video ideas, but most of them are related to TTRPGs and DC20, so I think that's primarily what you can expect from me, although I'll probably hold off on making most of them until after the next DC20 update. I also have a handful of video ideas relating to cryptids and some miscellaneous video ideas too, so that's what you can expect. There are 3 genres of video: TTRPG, cryptid, and miscellaneous. This categorization works for all YouTube channels. And one more thing. I decided to private some older videos that didn't make sense to have public, like my YouTube shorts for example. Since I made these for my D&D group, it doesn't really make sense for the average person to watch them. I also privated some videos relating to a Minecraft server for the same reason, and some of these older videos just feel bad too. Like my first video is just Minecraft footage with the song Mass Destruction playing in the background. It was a good learning video for me since I got to practice editing, but if a bunch of people start watching it, I'd take extreme psychic damage, so I think it's better to just private it. Hopefully you don't care. I know there's some novelty to seeing someone's earlier videos, but I think this makes sense to do. I definitely don't plan on making a trend to private old videos or videos I have issues with, especially because if I did that, I'd eventually end up privating literally all my videos. I always have an audio issue, or I pronounce something weirdly, or I make a joke that I kind of cringe at later. I can always find something that bugs me. But I'll say this now, I don't care how much I cringe at in the future, if I ever private my White Unders a Great video, then you can assume I've been replaced by a scroll. Okay, now that's it for real. Bye.